and Senator Vitter.
Thank you, Chairman Boxer, and members of our committee who are here today, and our panel of witnesses who will be discussing a number of very important issues as they relate to climate science and our national energy policy. First, let me say I think it's really unfortunate we don't have any witnesses here from the Obama administration. Just weeks ago, President Obama announced a sweeping climate action plan, which will undoubtedly tighten the federal government's grip on our economy. It would have been very useful to hear from the administration about how exactly they plan to implement this strategy. It would also have been useful to learn the exact measurable benefits that the United States can expect from these actions. In relation to that, I'd just like to put into the record, Madam Chair, a letter to you specifically requesting we have witnesses as part of this discussion, and also a letter to President Obama. Both are from mid-July, requesting that he make available witnesses from his administration about this climate action plan. And I ask unanimous consent to submit these for the record.
Without objection.
Former Administrator Lisa Jackson testified before this committee that U.S. action alone will not impact the climate. So this begs a few questions, starting with, have things changed so drastically in the last 4 years that now U.S. action alone can control the climate? The hearing is entitled, quote, "Climate Change, It's Happening Now." I'd also note it's interesting that it is entitled, quote, "Global Warming, It's Happening Now," close quote. Maybe because, given the Earth's stagnant temperature for the last 15 years, a fact that's currently confounding climate scientists and modeling experts who predicted otherwise, that would have been an inconvenient title. The unique thing about the title of the hearing is that I think it could have been true and accurate and appropriate not only now, but 50 years ago and 500 years ago and 5,000 years ago, because climate change is happening. It's always happening, and there are many significant influences that are making it happen. Just a cursory glance at recent scientific literature shows that major influences on climate include solar activity, solar cycles, ocean currents, cosmic rays, and greenhouse gases that occur naturally, as well as those emitted from many countries, including those who have no plans on regulatory change, like China, India, and Russia. These are factors impacting our climate over which we have little or no control. As the President unilaterally implements his regulatory agenda, I believe it's important to note what the Obama campaign does not want us to talk about. And I think it's very interesting. This was outlined in an email last month by Ken Berlin, a chair of President Obama's Energy and Environment team. And we have that detailed email and talking point memo here, and I'd like unanimous consent to submit this for the record. Specifically, as outlined very clearly in this email, the President and his team do not want anyone to discuss, quote, "straight economic arguments," close quote. Well, I think on behalf of the American people, we should absolutely talk about the economic impacts of these policies and have an honest discussion about that. They don't want to talk about, quote, "regulations to control greenhouse gas emissions from power plants," close quote. I think we should absolutely talk about these very significant and very economically detrimental regulations. They don't want to talk about, quote, or they don't want to, quote, "over-promise on impacts taking action will have," close quote. Again, maybe the reason is that, as Lisa Jackson herself testified, such action would have no impact, given that we in the United States alone don't control impacts on climate. They don't want to, quote, "debate the validity or consensus of the science that is already settled," close quote. I'm interested in discussing exactly what part of science is settled in light of facts like climate models being wrong for the last 15 years, regarding temperature and the fact that none of White House Science Advisor John Holdren's predictions on climates have come true. Very dramatic predictions just have not come true. They don't want to talk about, quote, the need to regulate industry and shut down power plants, close quote. If I can ask unanimous consent for one additional minute.
I can't do that because we've got everybody here to speak. We've got two panels, but if you can finish in a minute, it'd be great.
Well, that's exactly what I asked for. Thank you. They don't want to talk about the need, quote, the need to regulate industry and shut down power plants, close quote, and certainly no one